Some of the people who do the most damage never arrive looking like enemies. They come smiling, helpful, and right on time. The enemy rarely uses a stranger. He uses someone you trust. My name is Elijah Holloway, and a lifetime of hard lessons taught me to see them coming. If you want the discernment that guards your peace, take a moment and subscribe. That's exactly what I share here. Today, I'll show you 7 of them, and number 1 is the one most good people never see coming. So let's get into it. Now, hear me plain, beloved, because what I am about to lay before you is not gossip, and it is not suspicion. I am not here to make you afraid of your own neighbors, and I am not here to teach you to look at every face in the room and wonder who is against you. That is not discernment. That is torment, and torment comes from the enemy too. What I am here to give you is what the old saints called wisdom, the quiet knowing that lets a godly man walk through a crowd and feel deep in his spirit when something is not right. Because here is the truth we forget. The devil is not creative. He is old and he is tired, and he runs the same plays he ran on the very first family in the garden. He did not come to Eve as a monster. He came as something familiar, something that could get close, something that could talk. And that is still how he works. He does not kick down your front door. He gets somebody you already trust to open it from the inside. The word tells us Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Think on that. Not a shadow, light. The counterfeit always looks better than the real thing at first glance, because the counterfeit has to sell itself, while the real thing can simply be. So a godly man learns to look past the shine. He learns that not everything that feels good is good for him, and not everybody who shows up in his life was sent by God to bless him. Some were sent by the enemy to delay him, to drain him, to divide him, and to turn him around just before his breakthrough. I learned this the hard way, over many long years, and I paid for the lesson in things I cannot get back. So let me spend what I have earned on you, that you might not pay the same price. 7 people the enemy will send into your life. Learn their faces, and you will keep your peace. The first one, and this is the one good people never see coming, because good people love to be loved, is the flatterer. The flatterer does not come to hurt you. He comes to make you feel wonderful about yourself. Every word out of his mouth is honey. You are the smartest. You are the most gifted. You are the most anointed. Nobody understands you the way he does. And it feels so good, beloved, because most of us are starving for a kind word. So we open up, we let him in close, and we never notice that a man who only ever agrees with you cannot possibly be telling you the truth. The word says in Proverbs that a flattering mouth worketh ruin. Ruin, not discomfort ruin, because the flatterer's work is not to lift you, it is to blind you. He praises you into carelessness. He tells you that you are too anointed to be corrected, too special to be questioned, too far along to still need to pray the way you used to. And little by little, his sweet words become a soft pillow under a hard head. You stop examining yourself, because why would you, when this man reminds you every day how wonderful you already are? Watch this now. Your real friends will wound you. The word says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. The person who loves you enough to tell you the hard thing, the true thing, the thing that stings that is a gift from God. But the person who only ever tells you what you want to hear is running an errand for the enemy, whether he knows it or not. So when you find a man whose praise never stops, ask yourself gently, what is all this sweetness trying to cover up? Now, before I bring you the second face, I want to stop and say something to you, one-to-one. Let me pause here for just a moment. A long life gives you more than any one video could ever hold. The lessons my own folks handed down to me, the ones I learned the hard way, raising a family of my own, I finally sat down and put all of it into a book. Start to finish, laid out plain. Simple life lessons that stand the test of time, the kind of wisdom that only comes from living it. The link is pinned right at the top of the comments. That's the whole of it, in one place, no need to go hunting through videos to find it. Take it or leave it. Now, let's get back to it. The second person the enemy will send is the distraction. And this one is clever, beloved, because the distraction is not always evil. Often the distraction is good, just good at the wrong time. The enemy has learned that he cannot always stop a praying man with sin, because a praying man has trained himself to say no to sin. So he changes his tactic. He stops you with good things that arrive in the wrong season. A good opportunity, a good friendship, a good project, a good cause, but it comes right when God has you focused on one thing, and it pulls your eyes clean off of it. Nehemiah was building the wall, and his enemies did not attack him with an army. They sent a message, "Come down and meet with us in the plain." And Nehemiah gave one of the greatest answers in all of Scripture. He said, "I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease while I leave it and come down to you?" That is discernment, beloved. He did not say the meeting was evil. He said it was beneath the assignment. The distraction will always sound reasonable. It will always sound urgent. It will make you feel guilty for staying focused. But a godly man knows the enemy does not need to make you fall in order to make you fail. He only needs to make you busy. He only needs to keep you climbing down off the wall to answer things that were never yours to answer. So guard your yes, guard your time, guard your attention like it is the treasure that it is. Because the thief who cannot steal your soul will happily settle for stealing your time. And understand, the enemy is patient. He does not mind sending you a distraction that takes 10 years, if those are the 10 years God set aside for your purpose. A man can spend a whole life being busy about good things and never once do the one thing he was born to do. That is not an accident. That is a strategy. So the next time something good comes knocking at the wrong hour, do not just ask whether it is good. Ask whether it is yours, and ask whether it is now. Because the right thing in the wrong season is still a trap. The third person the enemy will send is the one who knew the old you and will not let you become the new you. I want to be tender here, because this one hurts. Sometimes it is somebody you love. Sometimes it is somebody who was with you in the pit, who held you when you were low, who has real history with you. But here is the trouble. They fell in love with a version of you that God is now trying to bury. And every time you rise, they remind you who you used to be. You try to speak faith, and they bring up your failures. You try to walk in your new name, and they keep calling you by the old one. When God called Gideon a mighty man of valor, Gideon was hiding in a winepress, threshing wheat in fear. God did not call him what he was. God called him what he was becoming. But there are people who will only ever call you what you were. Jesus himself could do no mighty works in his own hometown, and the word tells us why, because they knew him only as the carpenter's son. Their familiarity became a cage. Beloved, hear me. Everybody cannot go with you into your next season. Some people are assigned to your past and were never meant to touch your future. It is not always hatred. Sometimes it is only history. But if a person can only relate to the man you used to be and grows uncomfortable every time you grow, then you must love them from a distance and keep climbing. Do not let anybody bury you in a grave you already climbed out of. I have watched it happen too many times, beloved. A man gets set free, gets delivered. God does a new thing in him, and the very people closest to him cannot celebrate it because his rising shines a light on their staying still. They would rather pull you back down to where they are than climb up to where God is taking you. That is not love. That is fear, wearing the clothes of friendship. Bless them, pray for them, and go on ahead. The Lord himself went outside the camp. Sometimes obedience is a lonely road for a little while before it becomes a crowded one. The fourth person the enemy will send is the betrayer, and this is the one that leaves the deepest scar. The betrayer does not come from outside your circle. That is the whole point of him. The betrayer comes from the table. Judas did not betray Jesus from the crowd. He betrayed him from the inner circle, from the supper, from the place where the bread was broken. The word says, it was one who dipped his hand in the same dish. That is why it wounds so deep, because you gave him access. You told him things. You trusted him with the tender places. And when the moment came, he used the very access you gave him against you. Now hear me carefully, because this part matters. Jesus knew. The scripture is plain that Jesus knew from the beginning who would betray him, and yet he let Judas stay at the table. He let Judas hold the money bag. He washed Judas's feet. Why? Because discernment does not always mean you throw the person out. Sometimes discernment means you keep your eyes open while God works his purpose out. The betrayal that broke the heart of Jesus is the same betrayal that bought our salvation. So when you are betrayed, and if you live long enough, you will be, do not let it turn your heart to stone. A godly man can be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove at the very same time. Guard your heart, but do not lose your softness. The enemy would love to use one Judas to make you distrust every good soul God ever sends after him. Do not hand him that victory. And here is the deep thing, the thing the years have taught me. Every betrayal carries a purpose you cannot see while the wound is fresh. Joseph's brothers meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, and the pit they threw him in was the first step toward the palace. The very ones who sold him became the ones who bowed before him. So when the knife goes in, and it will, you weep, you grieve, you feel it fully, but then you lift your eyes and you remember that no man can hand you over 1 minute before your appointed time, and no betrayal can take you anywhere God has not already promised to meet you. What the enemy sends to end you, heaven has a way of using to promote you. The fifth person the enemy will send is the drainer, and the drainer comes wearing need like a coat. Now understand me. God calls us to bear one another's burdens, and a hard-hearted man who never helps a soul is no godly man at all. But there is a difference between a person in a season of need and a person who has made a career out of your kindness. The drainer is always in crisis. Always. Every phone call is an emergency. Every conversation circles back to their storm. And no matter how much you pour, the cup is never full. Because it was never about the water, it was about keeping you pouring. You give your time, your money, your peace, your prayers, and you walk away every single time feeling emptied out, wrung dry, like something was taken instead of shared. Even Jesus, who healed the multitudes, felt virtue leave his body when the woman touched the hem of his garment. And Jesus, who loved the crowds, still withdrew himself into the wilderness to pray. If the Son of God had to step away to be refilled, what makes you think you can pour forever and never once guard the well? Beloved, you cannot draw water from a dry well to save a drowning man. You will only fall in and die beside him. So love people, help people, give to people, but discern the difference between the one who wants to get well and the one who only wants you to keep him company down in the ditch. Some folks do not want a hand up. They want a hostage. And you will know the drainer by one clear sign after enough time has passed, nothing ever changes. You have prayed the same prayer over the same trouble for years, and they are no closer to freedom than the first day, because your help has become the thing that lets them stay stuck. Real love sometimes has to stop rescuing so a person will finally reach for God himself. The kindest thing you can do for a drainer is to point him to the well that never runs dry, and step back and let him go and draw for himself. You were never meant to be anybody's savior, beloved. That seat is already taken, and the one who sits in it does not grow weary the way you and I do. The sixth person the enemy will send is the seducer, and I am not speaking only of the flesh, though the flesh is surely part of it. The seducer is anyone the enemy sends to appeal to your appetite, to find the thing you hunger for, and dangle it and use it to lead you somewhere you swore you would never go. Samson was the strongest man who ever lived, and no army could bring him down. But Delilah did not come with an army. She came with affection and patience, and the same soft question asked over and over until he was worn down and told her the secret of his strength. And notice this, she did not overpower him. She lulled him. She got him to lay his head down in her lap. The most dangerous place Samson ever laid his head was not a battlefield. It was a lap that felt like love. The seducer studies you. He learns your weak place. Is it money? Is it praise? Is it lust? Is it the need to feel important? And then he presents himself as the answer to that exact hunger. This is why a godly man must know his own weak places better than his enemy knows them. Because what you will not confront in yourself, the enemy will exploit through somebody else. And hear me, the best defense against the seducer is not a stronger will. It is a satisfied soul, a man so full of what God already gives him that the counterfeit has nothing left to offer. Remember, the seducer never leads with the cliff. He leads with one small step, and then another, and each one seems harmless on its own. Samson did not wake up one morning and decide to lose his eyes. He gave away a little at a time, a secret here, a compromise there, until the strength he was born with was gone and he did not even know it had left him. That is the terror of it. You can be robbed so slowly you never feel the hand in your pocket. So watch the small doors, beloved. Watch the little compromises you have started calling normal. The enemy is not usually after your whole heart at once. He is content to take it one quiet inch at a time. And the seventh person the enemy will send is the divider, the whisperer, the one who carries offense from ear to ear. The word calls the devil the accuser of the brethren, and this person does that same work here on the ground. The divider never fights you to your face. That is not his method. The divider comes to you privately and tells you what somebody else supposedly said about you. He stirs the pot, and then he steps back to watch it boil. He plants a small seed of suspicion between two people who loved one another, and waters it in secret, and stands there innocent, while a friendship of 20 years falls apart. The word is so clear on this, it says, "A whisperer separateth, chief friends, chief friends." The closest bonds there are, undone by a whisper. And the way you know the divider is simple. Beloved, the person who will gossip to you will gossip about you. The mouth that brings you an offense will carry your name into the next house the very same way. So when somebody comes to you again and again with what other people said, planting little seeds of division, understand that you are not looking at a friend bringing you information. You are looking at the enemy's mailman. A godly man learns to shut his ears to the whisper and take his trouble straight to the person and straight to God. He refuses to let his heart become a landfill for other people's poison. Because offense is the bait of Satan, and the man who will not take the bait can never be caught on the hook. And I will tell you the hardest part, the part that takes real grace to see. Sometimes the divider does not even know he is doing the enemy's work. He thinks he is helping. He thinks he is warning you. But the fruit of his mouth is always the same where he goes. Unity dies and trust withers, and people who are bound together come apart. So you do not have to hate him to be wise about him. You simply learn to bring your questions to the person's own face, instead of believing a story carried in the dark. A whole lot of broken homes and broken churches and broken friendships could have been saved by one honest conversation between the two people who were kept apart by a third. Do not be the third, and do not be moved by the third. So, there they are. Beloved, the seven the enemy loves to send, the flatterer who blinds you with sweetness, the distraction who is good at the wrong time, the one who will not let you leave the old you behind, the betrayer at your own table, the drainer who empties the well, the seducer who hunts your appetite, and the divider who carries offense from ear to ear. Now do not walk away from this fearful. That was never my aim. Walk away watchful. There is a great difference between the two. Fear makes you suspicious of everybody. Watchfulness keeps you tender toward the true and wise toward the false. The word did not tell us to be paranoid. It told us to be sober and vigilant. It told us to try the spirits. It told us we would know them by their fruit, not by their words, not by their smiles, but by the fruit their presence leaves in your life over time. So ask yourself, honestly, of the people close to you, what do I become when I am around this person? Do I leave them fuller or emptier? Bolder in God or more afraid? Closer to who He called me to be, or slowly turn back into who I used to be? The fruit will always tell you what the mouth is trying to hide. And remember the greatest comfort of all. Every single person the enemy ever sent against a child of God, God has a way of turning to serve His own purpose. He sat Joseph down at the right hand of the very nation that enslaved him. He used the betrayal of one man to purchase the salvation of the whole world. So even when you fail to see one of these coming, and sometimes you will, you are not lost. The same God who allows the enemy to send them is the God who works all things together for good to them that love him. Now I want to hear from you. Down in the comments, tell me which of these 7 you have met in your own life and how the Lord carried you through it. And tell me the part of the country you are writing from, because I read every one, and it blesses me to see where these words are landing. The next time we sit down together, I want to show you the other side of this, the people God sends into your life to bless you, and how a godly man learns to recognize them and hold on tight. Until then, keep your heart soft and your eyes open. Do not let the 7 make you cold, and do not let them make you careless. Hold both at once, the dove and the serpent, softness and wisdom both, for that is the balance a godly man walks all his days. Trust the Lord to send you good people, and trust him to reveal the wrong ones in his own time. He has never once failed to protect a heart that was truly set on him. Guard your peace like the treasure that it is. And walk on, beloved, walk on,